two basketball legends. I'm gonna say it again. I brought a co-host to the co-host. I had to bring in a man who knew basketball back then and who knows it now, man. I brought in Will Cochran, man. We got Ray Odum. His name was Raymond Odum, but they call him Ray Odum back in his good days. So y'all give me a few minutes, man. We're gonna do something real sweet. Give me just 1 second. So Mr. Raymond.
Yes, sir.
We got you in the building finally. So I gotta introduce this gentleman because he is worthy of being introduced. He is a legend.
That's right.
So give me a second. We got Ray Odum, born October 30th, 1951. Do I have the right man?
Correct.
All right. He's a football player who played in the CFL and US from 1975 to 1984. Odum was DB for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Is that right, sir?
That's one of my teams.
Okay. How you pronounce it?
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Rough Riders.
Mama said sound it out. Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah.
He was a CFL All-Star in 1980, 81, 1982. Later, he played for the Showboats in the USFL in 1985.
Yeah, I played for the last half of the season.
Odom played college football at the University of Alabama. He was the second black player. Is that right?
I played basketball.
Played basketball. I'm sorry. Why you got to put college football? Odom also was a standout guard on Alabama Crimson Tide basketball team and player who would start 5 black players in a time of racial turbulence and progress. Senator Leon and Coach Newton signed you all, right?
C.M. Newton.
Yeah, C.M. Newton, okay. Because he wanted to win. He wasn't trying to be a trailblazer. He played Alabama from 1970 to 73, right?
74.
74. CFL in 1975.
Yeah.
Won awards all CFL in 1982.
81, 80, 81, and 82.
And 82. So now I got my little stuff out the way. I'm gonna let some real legends talk.
Okay. As a defensive back.
As a defensive back.
Yeah.
So with no further ado, we got Mr. Raymond Odum.
Right.
Mr. Raymond, what part of town you from?
I'm from North Birmingham, a little small community. Grew up in L&N City.
L&N City. You got to go through Cottesville to get to L&N City.
Yeah, that's true.
Went to Carver High School.
That's correct.
From a lamb to a ram.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm gonna let you all get at it. Will, you can interview this man, man.
All right, man. First of all, I want to say thank you again, Q, for you having us on, all your sponsors here. But you got to do this a little different. First of all, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to acknowledge Mr. Raymond Odum. And I mean that in honor. Mr. Raymond Odum. He's a Carver Ram as I am. But Raymond opened the door. See, and back in the city of Birmingham, we always had great players. Always had great players. But Raymond was one of them predecessors to guys like Enos Watley, Eric Richardson, and Bubba Price, Willie Simmons of Carver Great. And you know, going out to Andrew Tonis, that was Raymond Odum before them guys. And I say this in all respect to Raymond. Raymond Odum was the name that was running around Birmingham when I was a little boy. And I want to acknowledge today, this is all about Raymond, for Raymond speak. But Raymond, I want to acknowledge this story that I want to tell you.
Okay.
I met you in 1968, 69. You was with my brother David Cochran.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all had just won the state championship in track. Yeah. Y'all won the championship before we won it in basketball. But you told me, said, look, Cochran, your brother David said you can play basketball. I want to come out there and see what you got. You went out there in my backyard and you played me a game. Right when you beat me 24-10, but as a little boy, I look back, you let me got them points, because I was a little dude, but them 10 points was confidence to me. You didn't want to destroy me. You beat me 20, but I was so excited about scoring 10 points against Raymond Odum. I was excited. You said, Contra, why are you so excited? I said, man, I scored 10 points on you. You said, Man, I beat you 24-10 and you excited about scoring 10 points. He said, man, you got this game wrong. He said, so if you score 30 and 40 and your team lose, you happy, right? You saying as long as you score and your team lose, you don't mind? It made me think, right? When you planted a seed that day in me, it never mattered no more how many points I scored. My team, I tried to help my team win.
Yeah.
I want you to know that story. And that story was big in my life. And you helped me, that helped propel me in my own career that I was fortunate in. So I want to say thank you on that.
Okay, I appreciate it. Anything to help a fella around.
I was a future man, but you know, I became one.
Yeah.
But Raymond, I want to say something to the people that's listening here. I was at the game. I was at the game when Carver played Parker in the 1968 state championship. That was a sellout crowd then. Parker against Carver. That was the first y'all win the state championship. Parker beat you by 3 points.
Yeah.
And 10 years later, I happened to be in the same game. And we played Park and Carver. That wasn't the first time. The first time was with you all. And I saw things happen in that game with you all that helped me in my venture. My brother David was crushed about that loss too.
Yeah.
You know, but I was able to avenge it. But I want to say that seed that you planted in that little kid about points versus trying to doing things to win, it helped propel me to succeed on. So I bring that back to you.
Okay, it's always good to try to score and score as much as you can. But the bottom line, anytime you play, you don't play to lose, you play to win. So that's the bottom line. You do your best, work hard, and you want to win.
Raymond, I want to say something now. I got to sit up here. I kind of briefed you earlier. See, you and Wendell Hudson was some of the early players down at the University of Alabama. You all did it the right way. You all opened up a door for future players like the guys that I mentioned, the Enos Watleys and people like that. You know, you all went down in Alabama in a turbulent time. It was tough in the late 60s and early 70s, you know, but by you all doing it the right way, you all let it be known that this thing can go, it can be done. You all did it in a class where you were great on the court, but you all were good people, good students.
Put it in the room.
And
put it in the room. Put it in the other
off
room.
the court. You know, you
put it in the other room.
You showed that we know how to do this, and then that opened up the door for future people coming to Alabama. You know, you all did it the right way, showed that it could be done. That's another tribute to you. I remember seeing you, man, at Alabama.
Yeah.
You know, looking at these games on TV. I mean, I told you Channel 10 was the station that we looked at all these Alabama highlights on, sending you, Raymond. And I think if I'm not mistaken, you may have been a 3-time All-SEC guard.
Yeah, I was second team my sophomore year, but I was 3-time. I made third team, last every year. So I made All-SEC every year, but you know, yeah.
See, I saw it, you know, and then for young people like us seeing it, you showed the way. I didn't go to Alabama. I went to West Alabama.
Yeah,
I went to West Alabama. I stayed as close as I could. I went down. But you know, the things that seeing you all do things the way you did it, young guys like me, you know, those seeds, man, you all was always planting. But what I really want to ask you, in the time that you were playing in Birmingham, at that time, and all I know the city schools were good, how competitive it was, Raymond, and how did you navigate being at Carver in a time in the city like that?
Well, you know, we at Carver, you know, like I saw a lot of older guys play, like Oscar Martin and a couple other guys that played. Like James West, they played the heck of football. So as I watched when I was a young guy like you, I watched them, guys out of my community was going to Carver and doing big things, you know. Their name John Gray and let's see, I forget all the Howard Smith, he played with the Globetrotters. So some guys out of my neighborhood, little small Illinois city, prepared me to want to be the best that I could be. So when I got there, I started off playing football, but you know, I was real tiny, so it kind of took me a little time to get my game together, you know. But I was advanced in basketball because when I grew up, I used to go down to Collegeville Rec Center and play. You know, we had all the teams, you know, all the different age groups. And so, you know, other guys played down there named George Nichols and a couple other guys. They could really play, you know, and they motivated us in our group to keep going. But after my 8th grade year at Callaway, I came up to the varsity of the basketball. My freshman year, you know, I played on the B team about 3 or 4 games, and then Coach Wells took us off Coach Jefferson's team and moved us up to the varsity. And so I was on the varsity in the 9th grade. I got a chance to play some early, but by January I was starting as a freshman on the basketball team. So from then on, I prepared my game in basketball. And then my junior and senior year, we had some good football. And I ran track. So and we had a great track team, like you mentioned. Our track team, we won the state championship my junior year. And one of the prime people on the team was myself and your brother David. He was the best 880 mile man in the state. So, you know, I was a sprinter. I was 100, 200 man. You know, my junior year, I was the best 100 and 200 in the city of Birmingham. I was the fastest guy. Mm-hmm. My senior year, the dude named Clifford Allen beat me in the 100, but he never beat me in the 200. So, you know, I had to get him back, you know. But we had some good teams. And then we played in the TB game. The first, you know, they had played a bunch of them, but the first one Carver had won was my senior year. And we played a team called Westfield. And the game was close and tough the first half, but as the game progressed, our offense, we had a great offense, having about 30 points a game. We beat them 51, 52, 21. We blew them out. So once we got going, you know, the offense going, we were tough. And we were tough.
Raymond, let me say something. You're being modest, by the way, and I appreciate your modesty. I saw so much more in you. I remember you as the quarterback at Carver. I saw, and I like to tell you this, I saw Michael Vick and them guys and you right back then.
The running quarterback.
Yeah. See, I saw you. I saw you, and you were, look, they can rush that line where they couldn't get a hold of you, and you could pass it and run it, and they preferred you to pass it because they might have been catch you if you ran. It remind me of seeing Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb and all them guys.
Yeah.
But back then, you mentioned the TV game. See, a lot of people who probably listen, they don't know nothing about the TV game.
Yeah, I know.
In Birmingham, the TV game, and I was a little boy, but I was around it. That was one of the biggest things in the city and the state. Mm-hmm. Am I correct?
Yeah, for black college, black college football, you know, yes. The high school level, you know, yes. Yeah, we played that game, you know, right, and we played well, right. They said at least, right, and, yeah, Carver. I was at Carver, you know, we had 3 sports, the major sports. We had 4, but the 3 was top. Football program was top, basketball, and track. So, you know, we had some good athletes in all of those sports, you know.
Let me ask you, Ryan, what I would like to think, when you at Carver, and again, one of your team went to the state championship game, so y'all were really good, but who were some of them guys in your era at the other schools that you knew that you had to deal with, you know? You were definitely one of the giants in the city, but I'm sure some of the other schools had played.
Yeah, guys at Parker, like Allen Murphy, Wendell Hudson, dude named Alvin McGrew. They were tough. And we played some other teams. We played Odums, which they had this big dude. He was up and coming. He wasn't as good as he got to be later, but Larry Keenan. He was tough. He was catchy. He was a giant, man. He's 6'8", 6'9" in high school, you know. He was tough. And so we had to beat them. My junior year, Parker beat us 3 times. Yeah, I'll tell you, it was awful. It was awful. But we only lost about 5 or 6 games, and most of it was to them, you know. But my senior year, we won the city championship called Big 5. You know, it was Western, Carver, Hayes, who was that? Taze, and us. It was 5 of us, big 5.
Raymond, I'm gonna jump in again. I'm gonna tell you something. For anybody listening to this, see, I saw you again. You used to come to my house with my brother David. It was important to me. But what I saw as a little kid, I saw guys. You were well mannered. My mother loved you. You had, well, I don't know what you did to my mom. She, Raymond Odum could come in our house anytime. She probably gave you a key if you had. She loved you, man. Yeah, I ain't kidding you. But it's the way you conducted yourself, and and I'm sure that's a tribute to your own parents. But you know, you conducted yourself. I saw you guys. I was around. I was a little bitty boy. You know, I was around my brother Dave. You guys handled yourself with class, your etiquette. You all were students. Y'all went to class, man. Y'all did the thing the right way. Y'all didn't mistreat people. And this little guy that loved me, I was watching this. I was watching these people. You all were the yes sir, no ma'ams, and you all were people. You did it the right way, and you planted seeds in somebody like me. I tried to be like Raymond Odum. I'm serious about that. You were. Your name was big, but the way you conducted yourself was just top shelf. And I want to say that, and now you know what do you attribute to that a little bit more?
Well, you know, for my home, my family upbringing, my mom and dad, they was always there for me.
Okay.
No matter what I tried to do, they was backing me. You know, I can go way back to high school. My mom and dad was at the games. And then I went to Carver, went out to Alabama. She used to drive, my mom was working a night shift, right? And she used to drive down to the game. Game started at 7, over by 10, she had to be working at 11. She would drive down to the game.
Wow.
And see me play.
Right.
I'd hug and kiss and talk to her after the game. She was gone back to Birmingham. She was going to her job.
Yeah.
And she made me know that she appreciated what I was doing, and she was 100% behind me.
Right.
Also, my first year in Canada, she flew to Canada to see me play one of my Canadian football games.
Right.
And so, you know, I love her to death. My mom was there, my dad was there, but my mom was there more.
Right.
Like even in high school, college, even in the pros, she was there for me.
Raymond, you know, when I look at you around some of the legendary coaches of the game. And what was it like to be around C.M. Newton as the head coach at that time? And if I'm not mistaken, you said Wimp was his assistant, which would later became the head coach. And he coached a lot of the guys from Birmingham. But and you was around the big man, Paul Bear Bryant, in some degree. You know, he was a giant, period, still a giant. But what was it like being a student athlete in the presence of some of those mentor teachers and people in your time?
Well, I got a good start from elementary school with a dude named Coach Bottle Labor.
Okay.
He used to take care of me. And I stayed in a little small community, and I was kind of from Collegeville to Illinois City was a ways. So once I got to be one of the better players, you know, he used to take me. You know, I would walk down to the center. He used to take me back home.
Okay.
And so then when I was in elementary school, my senior year, 8th grade year, Coach Wells, they was recruiting us to play there, so he used to let me and a couple of guys in the game free.
Okay.
And we practiced basketball, right? Practice, play our game, then we used to come to Carver and get in the game and watch them free. Right. But the guy, my mentors, Coach Bottle Label, Coach Jeff was helping, but my main coach is Coach Coach Carter C. Wells.
Coach Wells, yeah.
Coach Wells is my coach. He coached his head football and basketball back in the day before they changed the rules. So then when they recruited me real hard at Bama, your school tried to recruit me too, Livingston.
Yeah, we had enough.
But you know, I think we had a trip, me, and Albert Johnson and Ronald Summer went down there to visit. But you know, my mind was somewhere else, you know. We came to visit.
So let me cut you off. So you actually visited?
We did.
Okay, so hey man, that gave me a little more problem. Okay, I learned something.
We came down there and visited.
Yeah, I can do. Okay.
And then, you know, a couple of other teams were trying to recruit me, right? Some of them wanted me to play football. A couple of them track, but majority of them was basketball.
Okay.
and I love basketball. Then Coach Sanderson and a couple other people was, when they started recruiting me my senior year, after we played in the state tournament, right? We got beat by Parker. And I was voted most valuable player in the state tournament, although we lost the game.
Wow, now that's history for me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was voted most valuable player in the tournament.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, we played hard, but I probably led I was the top scorer in the tournament. We lost the game. But, it hurt me bad, I tell you.
I know.
Because like you said, you don't play to lose. You play to win. You ain't gonna always win them all, but if you give your best, play as hard and as good as you can, things happen.
Right, but I'm gonna jump into something. I didn't know that you won the most valuable player.
Mm-hmm.
You won the most valuable player, although your team lost. The 2 years that we won the state championship, we never hit the MVP. Well, the first my junior year and my senior year, we won the state championship. But I'm just saying this is one of the things. I think Bobby Lee Hurt won it 1 year.
Okay.
They gave it to Bobby Lee, and I can't even remember who else won the other thing. But we didn't get it either year.
Nobody from college?
Yeah, no.
And y'all won it? Oh, man.
So that's history within itself.
That is history,
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
But again, man, let's go into the one little thing, if you would, with me. What was it? Because it was still separate back in the time where you really was an integration where you all wasn't really, you were mainly playing other black schools.
When I was in high school?
Yes.
Yeah. First integration started my junior year.
Okay.
We started playing, in track and football.
Yes.
And, for track and football, that's the two main sports,
Right.
And that's when we started integrating. And we could see the difference. When I was in high school, football difference was the other schools integrated, the white schools was a little better. They had better fundamentals and they had the weight rooms, they were working out. We had skills and speed, but they had the better fundamentals. In basketball, it was a total difference. We had the speed and quickness and the will to win. Because a couple of them games, like at halftime, I think the score was 25, 35, our way. At the end of the game, it was 75, 30, and 75, 40, 50. In the second half, we just wore them down,
Okay.
And that's when we first integrated.
Right, but let me say this, and I'm going to listen to you as we talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask you this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know, do you really know the impact that you had on future guys coming through?
Mm-hmm. No, well,
Cause we were looking at you, Ray.
Well, I wanted to be a good influence.
You
a
were?
Positive influence.
You were?
And I went out there every day, practice, and the game, and try to do my best from start to finish. And so people look at me and say they want to be like a guy that want to win, ain't trying to cheat, ain't trying to steal, just want to play hard and do the best. So that's what that
Yeah, see, the reason I said it, because people like Enos Wadley, Eric Richardson, see, we talk. Enos Wadley went to Phillip High School. He was he younger than me. He was behind me. So, but he knew the story of Raymond Odum. He thought you were all of this. He's a historian of the game. Eric Richardson, all of us, we saw you. We know that when you, especially when you talk about Carver High, if we had a Mount Rushmore, I'm a Carver Ram. Yeah, you can laugh. But if we had a Mount Rushmore, and I ain't gonna get in trouble here tonight, cause that's a thick thing. But one thing I know on Mount Rushmore, Carver High School, Raymond Odum is on it. You own it, my brother. We can fight about the other three, and I know I'm not one of them. I ain't talking about me, but that can be debated. But one thing that can't be debated, you own that, right? You won it, in my opinion. And I know the sport, and I know the school, and I know all of it. Raymond Odum on them.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So a lot of things that you did. The reason I asked you about the influence, you never know who watching you. See, on the court, it was unmistakable. But Raymond, you did things off the court. You carried yourself well. I remember when you used to come to the gym, you were Raymond Odum. But guess what? Man, you shook a little boy's hand, and you were just a people's person. Just a nice guy. You a nice guy.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I saw it. firsthand. You know, you made people, you wasn't better than nobody. You made them feel like you were regular. And you wasn't regular, man. You was a little above regular. But you did it the right way. And, man, I'm just in awe, man. And my brother back in El Paso, Texas, David Cottrell, I'm in here with your boy, Raymond Odum today. Yeah, true legend. Raymond, I said something to you before, and you can talk about this a little bit before we Charlie. I asked you why you think that you're not in the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. I'm mystified to know that Raymond Odum is not in the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame.
You're not the only one that's mystified right there, man. I said, all the accolades that I got, you know, high school, college, and pro, I can see a lot of those guys are in there. They don't come nowhere close to having all the accolades that I got. But I don't make the final decisions. You know, I'd love to be in there. And that's one of my aspirations before I leave here in the world, to get in there. But if I don't, I did my best. Yeah. And I worked hard and I did my best every time out there. And I got accolades to prove that.
That's right.
But, you know, I don't make the decisions.
That's right. And you did it the right way too, brother. That's why I keep bringing that up.
Yeah.
You didn't cause no problem. You wasn't in trouble. You did things the right way. You represented the city of Birmingham, the school Carver High. You represented the University of Alabama. You went collegiate. You played professional over in Canada. You did great all the way through, and you kept your honor, man. No problems ever was attached to Raymond Odum's name. And man, that's a compliment to you. And man, I'm you know, and I know you. But guess what? I'm still in awe looking at you. I know who you are, man.
Yeah, you know.
Yes, sir.
I remember you was a young guy coming up to the sun in Birmingham, you know. You was playing hard and I could see the talent that you had, man.
I appreciate it.
And you worked.
Yeah, I worked.
You came to play. I like that.
Thank you.
I like that.
You know, Okay.
Tell us a little bit about playing at Alabama, how you felt in that time around Baton, with so much segregation. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when I went there, after they recruited me and showed me they really wanted me, so I went there to play ball. And we had no pressures on us outside to play ball, you know. We practiced, we ate, and when I was there at Bama, we lived in a Paul Bryant dormitory, where the football and basketball stayed. And that was the first time when I ever heard about it. We had 4 meals a day. We had breakfast, lunch, dinner, and late night snack.
Yeah.
So
All right.
And that was rare. But when we went on the road, we all stayed together, we played, and every time we get laced them up, we was out there to win. From start to finish. We practiced. When you got to college, you know, it's just like a job. See, you practice hard every day and get ready for the game, you know. And when we get ready to play the game, we travel first class when I was at Alabama, and they treated us as first class, so they had no problems. Racism was probably all around us, but within our little box at the University of Alabama, our basketball program and the football program, we stayed in the same dormitory. We didn't have no problem. Guys that didn't want to be bothered with you, didn't be bothered with you. Guys that wanted to, showed you how they appreciate you. You know, I'm one of them guys. You treat me, I like to treat people the way I like to be treated.
Right.
You treat me right, I treat you right.
That's right.
You don't want to bother me, hey, life goes on. But that's what I do. And every time I hit the court, I was there to play. It changed around when I wanted to go basketball, but didn't work out. So I set out. Some of the coaches tried to get me to play football my senior year at Alabama. But I said, no, I ain't ready. But they came to me, coach. One of the coaches' brother was coaching up in Canada. So he gave me the opportunity to play in the Canadian Football League. And so I went up there, green, hadn't played defense, hadn't played football in 4 or 5 years. But I was out there to learn.
Talent.
And had, you know, speed and quickness was one of the things. And height for the defensive back at 6'1", 6'2", you're tall.
Yeah.
Most of them 5'9", 5'10". But I had that height and speed and quickness led me to be one of the best defensive backs up in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah.
So that's how it was.
listen, I just want to thank you for honoring me today and
Yes.
allowing me to interview you and will interview you, and we thank you for being on the show. We got to get all y'all some kind of way in one room, and I'm just gonna sit back and let all y'all talk and just be quiet. But with no further ado, we appreciate you for tuning in. We thank you for everything, for always liking and sharing. Please like and share. Go to our YouTube page, Business in the Cut TV. We want to thank our sponsors, Green Acres Cafe, Green Acres Cafe Ensley, downtown, Green Acres Realty Enterprise, AEG Entertainment, Tasted Cafe, and shout out to my man with Face Card Podcast. And we got another guy, Dwayne Thompson. He just started his podcast. Shout out to him, called oh my gosh, Big Boy Talk. I forgot. Don't kill me, Dwayne. But listen, we thank you for always just having our back. So with no further ado, we out. We really appreciate it. Gentlemen, we appreciate you too, man. I thank you, Mr. Odum, for the honor.
I appreciate you letting me come over.
Yes, sir. Will, I appreciate your co-hosting for the day.
Hey, man, this was great for me. And I know, hey.
And you did a great job, Will.
Thank you. Hey, man, you throw that fish, that bait out there, you got you a big fish today.
Yes, sir.
Ramming on a big one. Yeah, okay. Thank you, brother.